Well, breaking news, the BBC has released this statement. Millions of people tuned in to enjoy Glastonbury this weekend across the BBC's output for one performance within our live streams included that was deeply offensive.
The BBC respects freedom of expression but stands firmly against incitement to violence. The anti-Semitic sentiments expressed by Bob Vylan were utterly unacceptable and have no place on our airwaves. We welcome Glastonbury's condemnation of the performance. Do you know what?
Well,
about time. How has it taken them this long to come to this conclusion and pressure from organisations like GB News and
exactly.
You all at home? I know we've had a lot of comments today saying, and we were talking about this earlier, weren't we, Hannah? Saying, please stop showing this footage, please stop talking about it. But if we don't talk about it, nothing changes. And this is why it's so important we have these discussions about things that we saw from Bob Vylan were absolutely vile, They were vulgar, they never should have been broadcast under your taxpayer dime, effectively, on the BBC. That's what it is. You're basically paying for it under your TV licence. And quite frankly, I'm glad that they've at least come to the conclusion that they should have pulled it.
Well, pulled it and had some... What was their contingency for this? And the thing is, what you're seeing, and people are asking us not to play it, but you can see now, Sandra, she said, please stop playing that man inciting violence against the IDF. It really is too much now. As someone has said, talk about it, but don't keep showing it. Well, look, again, Sandra, we are making sure that something happens about this nonsense because we are funding the BBC and they are the BBC for everyone in this country. That includes Israeli people and, of course, Jewish people and all of us who pay and watch or listen to it. So there is no justification for them to continue showing this footage. And it wasn't even just that. That is a snapshot of what it was. There were other things saying, you want your country back, then forget it, kind of thing. Yeah. Forget you, but I'm being polite, using polite words. There were Free Palestine chants and From the River to the Sea, all of which we know are offensive to Jewish people, and in particular those who live in Israel and who are from Israel. It is totally unacceptable. And finally... But it took them a long time, I think. It's finally they've said something.
The BBC have said it should have pulled the live stream of Bob Vylan's performance during Glastonbury, which contained utterly unacceptable and anti-Semitic sentiments. Let's remind ourselves of what was said.
Free, free! Free, free! Alright, but have you heard this one, though? Death, death to the IDF! Death, death to the IDF! Death, death to the IDF! To the IDF.
So Ofcom are now looking into the incident, saying that the corporation clearly has questions to answer.
Let's get more with Campaigns Co-ordinator for the revolutionary communist, Fiona Lalli. Fiona, thank you very much for joining us here on Britain's Newsroom. So Bob Vylan, obviously now being condemned by multiple members of Parliament, congressmen. There's, attempts in America to now have their visas revoked. They said there were anti-Semitic comments by lots of anti-Semitism campaign groups. The irony of all of this is in 2020, Bob Vylan were supposedly giving racism the middle finger at concerts against racism. Do you think they are just purely shameless, looking to get 15 minutes of fame?
No, I think I'm really glad that this has happened because it's giving us an opportunity to expose the IDF and say, what is the IDF? The IDF is a monstrous imperialist army that has killed over 100,000 Palestinians on behalf of Israel, and it is committing barbaric acts every single day. And the way that the media has reported on this has been astounding, but it actually makes people feel sick because, there was horrific violence over the weekend, but it wasn't at Glastonbury. It was in Palestine. It was soldiers from the IDF consciously shooting Palestinians who are queuing up for aid. And they do that on purpose.
OK, so
in fact, they are instructed to do that. They are instructed to do that.
Fiona, you are aware...
That's disgusting.
You are aware that Hamas have instructed the death of Palestinians who are assisting with the aid delivery. I mean, this is a fact. You are aware of that. So that's... No. I'm telling you a fact. Hamas are doing that and they're killing their own people and they're urging others to kill any Palestinians who are helping with the aid delivery.
No,
are you aware of that?
That's not true. And when the mainstream media and people like yourself say these things, everything you do acts as justification
No.
for the IDF
No, there's no
and for
justification.
Netanyahu.
No,
and so you're a bit like Keir Starmer, actually.
Can I take
Keir
you
Starmer
slightly?
also does
like
this.
Keir Starmer.
I don't think the audience will agree with that. I mean, they know.
I thought you'd find that funny.
Can I just take a slightly nuanced approach?
But what you do,
Go ahead.
what you do when you say these things is line up with the rest of Western imperialism, which is to say that Israel has the right to do what it is doing. Israel has the right to genocide the Palestinian people.
First of all, it's not been confirmed as a genocide. Even the International Court of Justice have not called it that. So you may see it that way. That is your choice. But secondly, I just noticed that you've not condemned Hamas, and you keep. Where was the condemnation for Hamas? Are you saying that what happened on October the 7th was not acceptable?
When you do this,
no, I'm asking
another people in the media do this. Again, it is to justify. Nothing justifies genocide against the Palestinian people. I'm here to tell you exactly what I think.
But could you just answer
I'm not going to stand here and condemn Hamas. I'm not going to do that.
So you're not going to say...
I'm going to stand here and condemn the IDF, the occupation, and the role of Western imperialism in that entire region.
Fiona, hang on 1 second, just 1 moment.
I am here to condemn Keir Starmer and David Lammy and the British government and British imperialism's role in this occupation and in this genocide.
You cannot sit there and seriously say you will not condemn Hamas, who have
I can
brought...
say whatever I like.
Well, you can, but I tell you what, the British public are watching you. The British public are watching you, and if you will not condemn terrorists, people who have caused absolute chaos upon the Palestinian people, the ones that started this conflict, can you see the disdain the British public, the people of Palestine, Jewish people will have for you?
I'm happy to condemn terrorists. Let's start with Keir.
Condemn Hamas.
Let's start with Keir Starmer. Let's start with David Lammy.
Let's start with the people that started this war.
And let's talk about the IDF. Let's talk about the IDF.
Who started the war on October the 7th?
I'll tell you, it began in 1948 with the forced expulsion
No, it did
of
not.
hundreds of thousands of Palestinians.
Some people would actually go further back than that.
We can get into a historical discussion.
You are
It's not worthwhile.
You are so correct. In fact, the British were entirely involved in setting up the Zionist state. They were entirely involved in that. So British imperialism historically is responsible for those crimes, and today it is still responsible for those crimes. And what makes you so angry, actually, is the fact that more people support people like Bob Vylan, more people in Britain actually want to see an end to the occupation. They don't support Britain sending arms to Israel.
What people want, Fiona, is an end to war.
Enrages you.
And they don't support Bob Vylan spouting out vile anti-Semitism. I don't want you to sit here and call the British public racist and anti-Semitic, because they do not support Bob. You just said the vast majority of people support what Bob Vylan said. You just said that. And they do not overwhelmingly. I'm upset that there's a man who's been given a platform to spout anti-Semitism.
But you're not upset about 100,000 Palestinians.
Who said that?
You're not upset about the fact that the IDF killed children.
I don't want children to die.
Don't shout at me, please. Yes.
Can you not condemn Hamas?
I've told you.
No, but I'm asking. It's a yes or no.
Okay.
So don't do.
I've actually already answered that question.
So is there a yes or no to that?
And the other reason why you guys act like this is because you want to intimidate people from speaking out about the Palestinian movement. You want to criminalise the entire Palestinian movement. In fact, today there are activists on trial. The Filton 18, they're on trial, and the state is using counter-terrorism laws against them for the role that they have played to disrupt the Israeli war machine.
Your opinion out on the airwaves.
And you're telling us what we think. You don't know.
Tell us we're scared of you.
You don't
tell
know
us you're scared. You know, this is the ridiculous thing, isn't it? Tell us we're scared. We having you on here to give your opinion to the British public. What I'm not going to sit here and do is agree with you just because you think I should.
No,
which is what all of you lot at Glastonbury think we should all sit there going, yes, I agree with your argument. I don't agree with your argument in the slightest.
We're definitely not going to agree. But what I'm pointing out is that I think the reason that you are so shocked by what I'm saying,
we're not,
and a lot of the mainstream media over the weekend was so shocked that other people were chanting with Bob Vylan, is because you are so out of touch with the real mood in society, and the real mood in society is on the side of the Palestinians.
The problem we're having here,
and you've lost that whole debate, and I think that's
Fiona, the problem we're having here is you continuously tell us what we think, but you don't listen to what we're thinking. So if you would just listen a bit more,
the genocide of the Palestinians.
If you listen, let me finish. Sorry. If you listen to what people have to say, then perhaps instead of telling me what I think, you might listen to what I think. Okay. And that's, I think, this is a real problem with your argument. You don't listen. Okay. You don't listen to what people think. You have no idea.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fiona.
Fiona Lalli, thank you very much.